At this point, I would like to invite Keith Moynes, Assistant Secretary, Department of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science, to formally launch the QQI Statement of Strategy. Keith.
Thank you so much, Irene, and thank you for yours and the board's leadership of the organisation and leadership of the development of the strategy, and also to Pádraig and all the team in QQI. We have a really strong relationship between the department and QQI, and really strong alignment, and it's a tribute to Irene, Pádraig and all the team for that. I'm going to make an apology in advance. So civil servants, by their nature, when they're speaking publicly, try to be boring and uncontroversial. And we're in the middle of an election campaign, so I'm going to have to be even more boring and uncontroversial than usual. So if I inadvertently send you to sleep with my uncontroversiality, I apologise. But I think it's certainly uncontroversial to say that this is an ambitious strategy and vision for QQI over the coming years as we navigate the change and uncertainty that Pádraig and Irene have talked about. And I think the things that both of you sort of call out in your speeches, the sort of the refresh of the framework, how we think about access, transfer and progression, the diversity of awards are really, really important and are just going to be critical over the coming years. And the vision for the system that's outlined in the strategy is very much aligned with our own. And I think I might even steal the language: a flexible, responsive and quality assured tertiary education system where learners can have confidence that their learning experience will be of high quality and their qualifications in learning will be valued nationally and internationally. I mean, you can't say better than that, but contained within that, there's a lot in that. What's totally aligned as well is the centrality of the concerns of learners. And sometimes when I'm talking to people outside the education system, I describe QQI as the learners' agency, because ultimately that's what it's all about. You know, how we equip learners with the right skills and capabilities, how we look after their interests, how we facilitate high quality outcomes for them, and how we ensure the recognition of their learning and their qualifications, both at home and abroad. And how do we continue to offer opportunities to a more diverse set of learners, including those from disadvantaged and non-traditional backgrounds, those with disabilities and lifelong learners. And we're lucky, I think, that in Ireland, when we talk about quality, we've managed to avoid some of the zero-sum reductionist language that you see in other jurisdictions. We have a more sophisticated debate about quality, I think, here. People in Ireland are proud of our education system, and they intrinsically understand the role of education and training in helping people to achieve their own potential and supporting our economy. But I think to maintain that public trust and credibility in our system over the coming years, we're going to have to do more and more to help learners and other stakeholders understand in a more tangible way what quality means for them in terms of learner experience and outcomes. And we've a job particularly to do to support those who lack social capital to navigate and understand our system and make the best use of it themselves. It is a complex system, and it's necessarily complex in some ways, but I don't know, sometimes when I myself, and I'm embedded in the system, look at how to navigate it, it is complex. So as a department, we're in the process of setting up a new learners unit to work with partners such as QQI to help us get better at this, help us get better at helping people to navigate and understand our system. I think the strategy captures very well, and Irene captured it brilliantly in her remarks, the uncertain environment we'll be operating in over the coming years, as well as some of the major challenges, and we can recite them, you know, off the top of our heads: climate, implications of generative AI, threats to our economic model, effects of the housing crisis on our young people, mental health, all of these. And each one of those, when you pick it apart, has implications for quality, for how we do our education system. And we know also that as policymakers, researchers, educators, academics, there's no silver bullet for any of those issues. These are wicked, wicked problems. But I tend to agree with the OECD, who said in the past that, well, there's no silver bullet for those policy issues. Education is the closest thing we have to a silver bullet for a whole range of societal and economic challenges. And for us to meet those challenges as a system over the coming years in the context of those issues that Irene so well called out, we're going to need a more open and porous system, more universally designed, with more routes and pathways for a whole range of lifelong learners, with more part-time, blended and offline offerings, making better use of our system's assets to mitigate carbon impacts, better information for learners, for employers, protections to ensure academic integrity and academic freedom in a world plagued by disinformation. So a huge role for all of us together to navigate that. And for QQI, as our quality regulator, this will necessarily mean a wide and evolving remit and responsiveness to that changing environment. And Pádraig talked about some of the changes in legislation that have facilitated that, but that's going to have to be a continuing process and an ongoing dialogue with the system and with the department about, you know, what the right responsibilities and mandate to effectively manage that. And we've seen that, as Pádraig says, in the evolution from contract cheating to academic integrity as a more all-encompassing approach. But that's the way in which QQI does its business is so important. The agency's values of collaboration, trust, integrity, learning and innovation. And I can say from long experience of dealing with colleagues in QQI that the organisation really meaningfully lives those values, and that's going to be critical to delivering the strategy in a collaborative and collegial way and to leading and learning in those changing environments. So I want to thank you all today for coming. I hope you have a really rich experience, and I want to reiterate my thanks to the board and the executive of QQI for all the work that you do to support the education system, support our learners and other stakeholders, and to wish you well in implementing the strategy and to reassure you that the department will continue to be your partners in doing so. So thank you very much.